JB here. Hope everyone's doing outstanding. Tuesday, November 25th, 9:16 a.m. Talk really quick about the market. Some names I'm looking at go from there. S&P futures slightly in the red. NASDAQ slightly in about down 0.3% on the heels of yesterday's rally. NASDAQ closing the highest or having its best rally since May. Back to back from Friday into Monday. Just a monster 2-day session. And is this a just a relief bounce after the AI bubble bursting last week, or is this the start of something with a little more substance? I guess we'll find out this week. This morning, 8:30, you had retail sales data, and this is all old data from September. Retail sales slightly lower than expectations. PPI data lower or cooler than expectations. So if anyone was worried about some runaway inflation scenario and this blackout period for economic data during the government shutdown, that kind of might alleviate some of those concerns. But anyway, yesterday afternoon while I'm on the rant, the SPY was right near that 50-day moving average, the S&P, and then sure enough, the market does what it likes to do, kind of. I wouldn't say gives you the finger, but instead of closing above the 50-day moving average and kind of giving a little positive sentiment into close, it closed right below it. So we'll see what happens here today. We're slightly below the 50-day here at the open. The good thing about yesterday, we had one of those gap days, and I hate gap days, but the gap held a little small pull at about 10 o'clock and then off to the races. And strong day led by Google, right? Google, Broadcom, Tesla. Uh, Google, if there's a poster child for getting something wrong, Google is probably it in 2025. Everybody was pretty much, they had already dug Google's grave as the AI boom took off, ready to put the dirt on it, had Google in the grave. And then I remember, it was like 3 quarters ago, they had their earnings, and everybody's waiting for the AI competitive landscape to finally start showing signs in Google's results. And it was anything but that. And they, defied estimates, beats and raises. And, it's been just all roses ever since. And now they released their new updated Gemini AI. I guess that came out last week, and everybody's raving about that. And now it's like this story with Google. It's like everybody missed out on AI, and now it's like, oh my God, they're chips, right? So nobody was talking about that. Pretty much, AI's dependent, not no independent. So they have their TPUs, right, the tensor processing units, but so they have their own chips. So it's not like they rely on NVIDIA or AMD or any of these other companies outside of Broadcom. So they have a partnership with Broadcom to provide the chips. So now it's like, oh my gosh, they're wrong on AI and search, and now they might be wrong on chips. And it's like, so then this morning you have Meta talking about they might look to Google, and Google just outsources their stuff into similar to what Oracle does. So we'll see what happens. So now you look at Google gapping higher this morning, and then you have Broadcom, which I was talking about how stubborn Broadcom was last week, and it's kind of like this is why. It's because Broadcom is a winner, whether Google wins, NVIDIA wins, whoever wins, Broadcom wins is a winner. It has that advantage, right? So that one's higher. And then you look at NVIDIA this morning, taking on the chin this morning. It's like, is NVIDIA going to have like one of those moments where the market's going to start to price in that Google's going to be a major competitor? So maybe that's some of the sell off this morning. You also have this spat, right? So you have Michael Burry. You still have this back and forth since he started tweeting around. I don't know, he's not calling NVIDIA and Palantir a bubble, but he's saying NVIDIA is pretty much like the Cisco, right? And of the dot-com bubble. And Cisco was the number one market cap company for I don't know how long it was, a couple weeks back in the dot-com bubble. But the situation that I guess some folks were saying that maybe he was calling NVIDIA a fraud, that they're playing with numbers or whatever. But NVIDIA came out with a note to the analyst over the weekend and sent it to analysts. It's like 8 or 10 point note, kind of refuting some of the commentary that Michael Burry made around the short on NVIDIA. And then now you have people the last day or so saying, "Oh, this should have came out in an 8-K filing." Meanwhile, the points that NVIDIA made to the analysts wasn't anything material. It's all public information, but kind of brings up some, I wouldn't say red flags. I wouldn't say red flags around their accounting, but it's like, are they really concerned now? Are they, so I don't know if that's some of the reason here you still see it selling off in the pre-market. But anyway, if there's some trade here, it might be. And Google's already overshot. Is like Google going to overtake NVIDIA before the week is out or before the year is out? And then you look at Broadcom, is like Broadcom going to start to overshoot 425, 450? So those are some things I'll be looking at today. It's funny, they had it so wrong. It's like the Google story, like how mispriced is it? And that's kind of like the questions I'm running through my head this morning. So anyway, take a look at the SPY right here, slightly in the red here this morning. Kind of the ideal scenario in regards to the market. Now, I don't want to see a huge gap. Maybe we get some chop and then some resolution. We get to the upside, would be nice. 669, obviously the 50-day moving average, well, it's 669.20. And then on the flip side, if somehow, we're still in the early innings of this AI bubble possibly bursting, if it ever is going to burst, certainly watching 663, that'd be a spot I would get some hedge puts today. Not going to rule that out. Probably, to me, a slim possibility, but you got to be open to scenarios. Otherwise, you get your butt handed to you. So that's overall market. I'll be watching here today. After the close, you have DELL reporting earnings. I'll talk about that in a second. And look at historicals. Nice little chart here of days of the week. So today's kind of like one of those flat days in 2025. Tomorrow is the great day, right? If you cumulative annualized returns, if you just traded Wednesday, you're up 93%. And and then outside of that, don't forget markets closed Thursday. All right, so that's overall market. Yesterday was kind of one of those days that kind of just a little selective. I didn't want to chase some of the names to the upside. And then, I'm in Reddit, and I'll talk about Reddit in a second, but that was frustrating. But I did get pool calls. If you followed this community or been part of this community for years, the pincher. Pincher is one of my favorite setups. That's when the ADX and momentum indicators come very close together. And sure enough, what's pool doing? You got a massive pinch here. And a pinch is not a guarantee that there's going to be a major reversal, a major bounce, but it typically has an outsized bounce at some point once that pinch happens, whether that's in a couple days, a couple weeks. Typically, it's very quick. I always kick myself because every time I talk about a pincher, I don't have examples, but I'll see if I can get a library of examples. But I do have Baidu, right? So this is Baidu back in the summer of 2024. $85, the pinch starts. 7 sessions later, it's $107. Not saying you're going to have a similar 20, 30% move, but these are the type of moves that can happen. So that's when I'm looking at a pool. I got those 260s. I was looking at other strikes. Unfortunately, not the widest of spreads. It doesn't have dollar increments, and it's only monthly strikes, so tough to find decent risk-reward strikes for pool. So I got those 260s. If it shows strength today, gets over 240, I might look to add some more strikes there on pool. Love the setup, love the story. Obviously, you have the Buffett stake too, so that helps the Berkshire Hathaway. All right, so that's pool. And then I also got Biogen calls. And, unfortunately, when I got the Biogen calls, it's breaking out. I was looking for lottos, and that's kind of some of the reason why I went and got the December strikes, because I was looking to get the 190 weeklies. So I'm like, no, let me just roll out to get the Decembers. And thankfully, I did that because once I got the calls, that was the top. It hit 185, and then it just melted for the rest of the day. Still closing the green. I still think this trade's north of 200. I might look for some other strikes similar to a pool if there's strength today to play for that move over $200. So that's pool. That's Biogen. And then Reddit, right? Tell me another option, that trade that you would make. I got Reddit calls at the end of the day on Friday. The stock rallied 6% yesterday, and my calls are red, right? Riddle me that. And it's not even like it's expiration day. There's still a couple more days to expiration. So frustrating. But anyway, still love the Reddit story here. To me, again, Reddit's like Broadcom. It's a name that's going to do well regardless of what AI name wins out in this battle. The Google, the NVDA, what have you. So if it breaks over 200 today, I'll look for some more strikes there. If it gets over 200, the 215s are going to be in the green. So that'll hopefully that plays out here today as well. And then other names I'm looking at, I have Align Technology. So I played that a couple weeks ago on those 150s. I think I had the 150s, 250s. Had a 6% rally on Friday, and then it looked like it was going to break out yesterday, and then just couldn't find some footing. If it starts to find some buyers today, I might look for some strikes, and it looks like it got upgraded this morning. ISI, Evercore took their price target of 170 from 220. So just a price target adjustment. That's that. And then the other names. I talk about some possibilities of some mispriced pricing, right? Have you? Let's see here. Sorry. But if there's continued weakness on NVIDIA, don't be surprised if I get some spec lottos on this one. Maybe tomorrow. We'll see how things play out. And then last but not least is Lemonade. And, I was watching Lemonade this morning after the open. The spread on you typically in the pre-market, you look at a stock and Lemonade right now, 72.50 by 73.49 in the pre-market. But then the market opened up and Lemonade still had a huge spread on the bid ask. I'm like, how does some market maker don't come in and try and take advantage of that spread? But anyway, it kind of kept me away from getting calls. Then it was 71, 72, and then closed at 73 bucks. Still like this for moving to the triple digits. I'm not going to chase it again today if it has a breakthrough. If not, if it kind of settles around, I'll look for some strikes there on Lemonade. And that's it, folks. Let's have a great day. I'll be back on audio later. Rock and roll.